Have you ever wondered what the worst punishment in history was? Imagine this: you're strapped to a chair, completely helpless. A device slowly crushes your fingers, bones snapping one by one. And yet, you're still alive, begging for it to stop. That was the thumbscrew, one of history's many terrifying torture devices. Let's dive into some of the most brutal punishments ever used, where death wasn't even the worst part. First up, the Brazen Bull. This wasn't just any execution. The victim was locked inside a hollow brass bull. A fire was lit underneath, and as the person screamed in agony, the sound echoed through pipes in the bull's head, making it sound like a roaring animal. It wasn't just about killing, it was about turning pain into a public spectacle. Then there's the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel. The victim was tied to a large wooden wheel. Their limbs were shattered with an iron bar, then the wheel was hoisted up, spinning slowly as the broken body was displayed for all to see. Some victims lived for days in agony before finally dying. Imagine that: bones crushed, limbs twisted, and everyone watching like it was entertainment. But perhaps the most gruesome of all was the rat torture. Here's how it worked. The victim was tied down, and a cage with hungry rats was placed on their stomach. The only way for the rats to escape was to dig through the person's flesh. It's a nightmare most of us can't even imagine, but it was a real method used to make people talk or die trying. Then we have impalement, a punishment famous for its sheer horror. A sharp stake was inserted into the victim's body, often through the rectum or mouth, and then they were left to slowly slide down the pole, their body's own weight pulling them toward death. It could take hours, sometimes even a day, for the person to finally die. This wasn't just punishment, it was a show of power, designed to terrify everyone who saw it. Let's not forget the Iron Maiden, though it's debated whether it was ever actually used. This tall, coffin-like device had spikes on the inside. The victim would be locked inside, and the spikes would pierce their body, but in just the right places to keep them alive for hours, maybe even days. A slow, tortuous death with no chance of escape. And finally, one of the most chilling devices, the Scavengers Daughter. This metal frame folded the victim's body so tightly that it caused internal bleeding, crushed bones, and suffocation. The pressure was so intense that it could make blood pour from the nose and ears. Torture wasn't always about pain alone, it was about breaking the human body and spirit. These methods remind us that in history, punishment was often about power, control, and fear. It wasn't enough to punish someone, you had to make them suffer in the worst way possible. So, the next time you feel like you're having a rough day, just be glad you're not facing a breaking wheel or a brazen bull. If you like this dose of bizarre facts, hit that like button, subscribe,